Hi PJ Sears, Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone is well and you've had another wonderful and productive and healthy week. I'm standing here in our backyard right next to the children's tree that every Shabbat our kids used to climb all over this tree. And Mirza Hashem, they will have the opportunity, I hope and I pray, to come here to play in our backyard, play on this tree again very soon. This Shabbat Parshat Toldot is an important Shabbos. It contains some of the most richest stories. Right? Yitzchak wants to bless his son. It's his final act. He says, I'm old, I'm blind. It's time for me to pass on blessing to the next generation. And so he invites Esav into his home and says, Esav, secure for me a meal. We'll sit together. We'll share stories. We'll talk about our lives. I'll share with you my hopes and aspirations for you in the future, and then I'll bless you before I die. And as we know, the story goes, Rivka hears of Yitzchak's intentions and wants to intervene. She realizes that Esav is not the one who deserves his father's blessing. Rather, Yaakov should be the one. And Rivka goes to Yaakov and says, we're going to pull a trick. We're going to pull a fast one. We're going to tell a little white lie. You're going to come in and you're going to tell your blind father that you are Esav. And you know what Yaakov says? Yaakov says, no, that's a crazy risk. What are you doing, Ima? Why are you telling me to do this? What will happen if my father discovers I'm not Esav? There's a tradition in the family. It's not said explicitly in the Torah, but it seems that this is what Yaakov hints towards. There's a tradition in the family of rejecting a child, of kicking a rebellious child out. Like Avram kicks out Yishmael. What happens if my father sees me as the rebellious child and kicks me out, exiles me? What Rivka says is so important. Rivka says to Yaakov, don't be afraid. Don't be concerned. Whatever risk, whatever concern you have, whatever repercussions there are, I will take the repercussions. I'll be the one who gets punished. I'll be the one who gets blamed for pulling this trick. And so Rivka, after hearing what Yaakov says, Rivka says, you know what? Let's adjust the plan a little bit. Put goat skin on your arms. So when Yitzchak double checks that you are indeed Esav, he'll feel that your arms are hairy like Esav. It seems like Rivka's plan was half-baked. Rivka hadn't thought it the whole way through. And when Yaakov expresses concern, when he expresses worry for a risky plan, what does Rivka do? She makes an adjustment. She changes the plan. She refines it. She creates a safer way for a proceeding, for Yaakov to go and trick Yitzchak. The whole story raises for us important, complicated, and thought-provoking questions. But in terms of the idea of risk management, there's something very important to reflect upon. Yaakov is worried. This is the first time in his life he's taking a major risk. He's tricking someone. Remember, Yaakov is an Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim. He's this naive, simple-minded guy. He's this guy who hasn't left home. The last Rashi in the Torah, tells us that Yaakov is 63 years old at the time of this story. And this is the first risk he's taking in his life. And so he's overwhelmed by the idea of risk. And what does Rivka say? Rivka says it's so much easier to take a risk when you have someone standing behind you. When you have someone to take the risk with. Yaakov, you are taking the risk, but no matter what, your parents still love you. No matter what, we will back you and we will support you. That's what Rivka says to Yaakov. How much easier is it for us to take a risk when we are together, when we're supporting each other together, when we have to live with the ramifications of that risk with each other. A risk becomes riskier when you're taking it alone. That's the irony of the situation we find ourselves in. So we're asked to live more separately from each other, more distinctly from each other. But the risk factor is mitigated when we can support each other, when we have to live with the ramifications of the risk that we're taking. There's one other really important point in this story. Rivka modifies her plan. She minimizes the risk that Yaakov takes after Yaakov approaches Rivka and says, "Whoa, I'm not taking this risk." Risk planning is critical. And a time when assessing the level of risk is so present for us. In every decision we make, should I go to the supermarket? Should I not go to the supermarket? Should I come to shul? Should I not come to shul? Should we have a play date? Should we interact with each other, or should we maintain distances? When the risk assessment is so pronounced, it's important, one, to know that we have a community standing behind us that will help us live with the ramifications of risk no matter what. Rivka says to Yaakov, no matter what happens, I am here for you. I am your support system. I am here no matter the ramifications of this risk. That's number one. And number two, when evaluating, when assessing the risk, it's so important to listen to each other, to discuss it with each other. When Rivka comes up with her half-baked plan, she doesn't think about the need to pretend that Yaakov is Esav. She doesn't think the plan fully through. But when Yaakov expresses concern, that's when she realizes there's a way to minimize the risk. It's in their collaboration between Yaakov and Rivka do they come up with the full plan. It's with each other. We will be able to support each other when we take a risk, and we'll be able to minimize the risk we are taking by thinking things through with different perspectives, with different concerns, with sharing with each other the risk, the worry that we have about the risk, and perhaps some ideas in how to minimize it. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom. Know that it's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. And when you make the decision to join us, it's so appreciated. It makes such a difference. And for those of you who are not coming to shul, for those of you who are not with us tomorrow, know that you continue to be missed profoundly, deeply. And we are praying so hard for continued good news about this vaccination and for continued good weather. And Amir Hashem for an opportunity where risk-taking won't be the deciding feature of all the decisions we make, but coming together and being with each other, to support each other, to celebrate each other, will be the most important component of every decision we make. Wishing each of you a Shabbat Shalom, good health, and a happy, a warm, and an inspiring Shabbat.